When Victor Wembanyama steps onto the floor for the San Antonio Spurs, it doesn't feel like a rookie learning the game. It feels like the NBA is witnessing a storm it can't quite solve yet. Because every time he hits a game winner, it's not just talent. It's a 7'4" nightmare built for moments the league was never ready for.
When you see him hit a game winner like that, it's so important because he's not somebody who is great just because of his skill. He's somebody that's great because of what's in here. He wants it. He's not scared. He wants the smoke. He wants the moment. He knows that he is the face of the franchise. He knows that the expectations for the San Antonio Spurs rest on his shoulders. And what do? They know who he is. They know what they have. They know how special he is. And then he goes out there on a night in, night out basis.
So, you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, the thing we have to continue to understand about Wemby, he's 22, bro. Like, I mean, we started looking at him. We were saying, oh, he's the face. He's the best player in the league. Oh, this was his first playoff run. And, like, you know, just he didn't know what the battle took, you know? Mentally, when you go through the battle like that, you like, it's all you learning what's like what it is.
Learning on the fly.
And not that the Knicks knew, but they've been battle tested. You know what I'm saying? Over the years. This is the first test, and you pass the test, you pass this test, OKC, you pass this test over here. You get to the finals, and it's like, whoa, what's next? Everything is new. The further you get in, the stakes get higher, and you just like gotta understand the type of like oomph you gotta have for that moment. It got to go to another level now when you get from conference finals. Because it, like you said, it looked like they felt like they won a championship when they beat OKC. And it just like, that was their championship. And then in a way, it kind of was because everybody was like, they had a schedule. So for them to beat OKC, it plateaued for them. And you saw that. And even though they led every game in the finals, it was just like they didn't come with the same type of intensity for New York like they did OKC. Yeah.
Well, I want to
Caruso
said this, and he mentions you about Wemby. He was on a pod yesterday. He mentioned this. I'm curious what you guys think about it. I'm going to play the clip for you.
Doc call you?
Yeah, I talked to Doc.
And it's a balance issue at times for them. You can see he's off balance a lot.
He's talking about
that
Wemby.
may be strength. That may be balance.
And fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what KG had, he had the little turnaround near the baseline, but then I always liked when he faced up and he would do like the stutter step and then stop and do the little
and he
jump.
encounters everything.
Yeah, Wemby
KG
needs
would
that
be a
face up.
great guy for Wemby to work with. They have the same type of intensity.
Right.
But
he's like a much taller Wemby.
Yeah,
basically.
KG's workouts were amazing. I mean, he used to put these shoes on the floor, which as a coach, I had never seen. You know, we use cones. He would actually put two shoes and make them face like the player because he said, I want to attack the feet. So he would stand there and he'd move the shoes over and attack that. Then he'd put the two shoes over and attack that. It was genius.
So he would always look at the feet over anything else.
Right.
So take it. One thing that stood out was Doc tells the story about watching the feet and attacking the feet. I'm curious how you think Wemby could utilize what you used.
Man, to get to master level, you got to go see the masters, man. I know he tapped into Dream. I know he tapped into, but you got to go, tap into the Rasheeds, the Duncans. There's right in the
I mean, he got Duncan right there too.
But, yeah, but I don't think that at least from what I'm hearing, it ain't consummate. Like, like we're open, we're different. It's a different dynamic in how they move. You understand? And it ain't fluid from what I'm hearing. It ain't inviting. You know what I'm saying? You hear how I speak, right? It ain't. I don't know if it's that. You feel me? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if bro actually in that frame of mind. You know what I'm saying?
Timmy?
Yeah, I don't know if he in that.
Yeah.
Then it'd been done, right? So one thing I want to speak on is just Wemby's development. He, if I'm him, I'm working on core strength because when Paul will tell you, I'm not the biggest guy, right? But he'll tell you when I sit down and post up, can you move me?
No, he's strong.
I'm probably one of the strongest people you could ever run up on and not. I look like how I look. But when it came down there to setting up on that block and then pitching and getting it off down there, yeah, I was the best at that. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to work with big fella, but this generation has a preference on how they want to work out, and I have to respect that. But yeah, I'm open to all. Listen.
Victor Wembanyama doesn't enter games like a rookie. He enters like a warning. A 7'4" anomaly built out of angles the NBA still hasn't solved, moving with a calm that feels almost unnatural until the moment the game tightens, and then everything changes. Because when he hits a game winner, it doesn't look like a highlight. It looks like inevitability. Not just skill, not just timing, but something heavier. Something psychological. A player who doesn't shrink when the clock dies. He grows into it. And every time it happens, the league is forced to ask the same uncomfortable question. What do you actually do with a 7'4" nightmare built for the final possession? But the real tension isn't just what he does in the final seconds, it's what it means when a franchise decides he is the future. The moment you become the face of a franchise like the San Antonio Spurs, you stop being evaluated like a player. You become a responsibility. And at just 22 years old, Wembanyama is already carrying expectations most veterans never survive. Not because he asked for it, because it was placed on him the second the Spurs saw what he could become. And internally, there's no confusion anymore. This is his team, his timeline, his pressure. Every possession is now measured against something bigger than development. It's measured against destiny. When he steps onto the floor, it's not, let's see what he becomes. It's, is he already that guy? And that question doesn't relax. It sharpens. But pressure is one thing. The real test is what happens when the game becomes unfamiliar territory. At 22, everything is still new. Even for someone labeled generational. Because playoff basketball isn't just skill, it's memory under fire. It's repetition under collapse. It's knowing what to do when your legs don't agree with your mind anymore. And that's where young stars get exposed. The deeper you go, the harsher the environment becomes. Every series strips something away. Confidence, rhythm, comfort. And suddenly, a player isn't just playing opponents. He's playing fatigue, expectations, and silence between possessions. That's where experience matters. Veteran teams don't always look better. They just look calmer when everything starts shaking. And when Wembanyama walks through those moments, he's not just learning basketball. He's learning what survival in the NBA actually feels like. And when fatigue enters the conversation, so does something even more uncomfortable: criticism. Inside NBA circles, a quiet concern keeps surfacing. Balance, strength, fatigue. Even opponents notice it. Moments where Wembanyama is slightly off-center, where contact shifts his base just enough to matter. Some say it's physical development. Others say it's workload. But the conversation gets sharper when analysts start comparing him to elite technicians, players who mastered not just height, but control. Because greatness at his size isn't just about reaching higher. It's about not falling when everything pushes against you. And in those discussions, voices from different eras clash. Some insist he just needs time. Others argue time isn't enough anymore, not with expectations like this. That tension is where the story gets real. Because every weakness in a player like Wembanyama is magnified under a microscope that never turns off. And that's where the old generation starts speaking again, about details most people never notice. When discussing footwork mastery, legends often point back to one idea: control starts from the ground up. Kevin Garnett once used an almost absurdly simple method, placing shoes on the floor as defenders, forcing every movement to be intentional. Attack the feet, read the base, break balance before breaking defense. It wasn't flashy. It was surgical. That philosophy matters now more than ever for someone like Wembanyama. Because at his height, every mistake starts at the base. And every advantage also starts there. Some around the league believe mentorship like that, old school intensity mixed with modern skill refinement, could unlock another level entirely. But there's also hesitation. Different generations, different training philosophies, different belief systems about what development should feel like. And that friction is real.
Because greatness often demands uncomfortable collaboration. But even footwork is only part of the equation. The real debate is what happens when strength enters the conversation. There's a difference between looking strong
and being unmovable. Old school big men understood this instinctively. Core strength, base stability, post positioning. Not just height, but resistance. Players like Garnett built careers on that contradiction. Not the biggest, but the hardest to dislodge. And that's where the conversation around Wembanyama becomes urgent. Because skill already puts him above most players. But postseason basketball doesn't reward skill alone. It rewards the ability to absorb contact, stay vertical, and finish through chaos. Without that, even generational talent gets reduced. With it, everything changes. He doesn't just become a star. He becomes a problem the league can't scheme around. And that leads to the final question, the one nobody in the league wants to answer out loud. Because what if this isn't even his peak? What if everything we're seeing, game winners, pressure moments, flashes of dominance, is just the beginning phase of something larger? At 7'4", still developing physically, still adjusting mentally, still learning how deep the NBA playoff structure goes, Wembanyama isn't finished becoming dangerous.
He's in the early formation of it.
And that's what makes this era uncomfortable for the league. Not what he is, but what he could become when the balance, strength, and experience finally align. Because when that happens, the NBA won't just have a star. It will have a problem no blueprint was designed to solve.